What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from Zoom again, and this time we are here with Timmy of the New Rose. It's great to be able to talk with you, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Anytime, man. Anytime. This new album, Sweet Poison, is absolutely kick ass, coming out October 21st. Do you just want to discuss how the making of this album was in terms of the songwriting, being that this is the fifth New Roses album? Was there kind of like a preconceived idea of what you wanted this album to sound like, or was there a lot of like improvising involved with the making of it?
Yeah, the main thing about this record is that we uh, completely wrote it and made it and recorded it during the COVID lockdowns. And that is the main difference to all the other records. Because usually we're coming from the tour. We're in the middle of the tour, and I start writing for new material. And so you have all these impressions of touring people and experience and all these things. You have them right there at your fingertips, and you just have to write them down and come up with new songs. And this time we were like, you were in your living room, and you were totally 100% not in the mood to party, and to have a good time. And nobody was. And I guess it was the same in New York, every time you turned on the TV, it was COVID here, COVID there, blah blah blah, and the numbers are up, and this is the vaccine status and whatever. And then you turn on the radio, saying, somebody calls you, and like after like the most 20 seconds tops, you're talking about some COVID stuff, like did you have it already, and how did you take the vaccine and whatever. So it was terrible. And then you should start writing a record, and we were all like, how, what are we gonna sing about, what are we gonna do? And then we started I wrote a couple of COVID-ish songs, like all my misery and all my self-pityness and all this drama stuff. And I showed it to the guys, and they were like, oh no, man, it's totally not what I want. It's makes me even, just sadder and sadder. And so I wrote The Usual Suspects, and I sent that around. And then the guys were like, okay, this is it. This is what we want to do. This is the direction for the whole record. So that song kind of paved the way for the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, like, okay, so you gotta you gotta go way back in time to the early days of the band. And I wrote many songs about my 20s and my teenage days and my wild free, the times in my life when I felt the most free ever. So your teenage days and all these wild times. And that seems to work, kind of, that put us all in the mood where we wanted to be. And so we decided not to mention COVID or any kind of these complications at all. So we wrote an anti-COVID record.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because without a doubt, regardless if you were looking at the world or not, the time of isolation and uncertainty was going to influence the making of any art that was coming
Yeah.
out there, whether they realized it or not. Did maybe this isolation and this, for lack of better words, semi-deteriorating songwriting aspect, did this open up new ideas for new did this open up new ideas for songwriting in the future for the New Roses, in a way, learning a different side of yourself emotionally as well as collaboratively with your fellow bandmates?
Yeah, maybe, it definitely um, showed us that there's a lot more to think about, because usually we have at least 2 to 3 road songs on the record from constantly being on the road. We have One More for the Road and Gloria Road, and there's an open road for every Wild Heart, and all these road songs, because it kind of, you don't even realize that you're writing so many road songs. But you're on the road all the time. So this time we have no road song whatsoever on the record. So you kind of have to come up with other topics. And at first it was really difficult, um, because I was already almost getting lost in cliches, because you have no true experience to write about. So you start like just like, hey baby, looking so fine, and all these like cliche lines, and but it doesn't hit you, it doesn't take you anywhere. So you have to really come up and thump through all your memories and stuff and come up with true stories and true impressions, true experience that you can write about. And it was a very satisfying process in the end, because I would sit down at night and some through photos and videos from the early days of the band and my teenage days, and I called some old friends and we were talking, and I going through the old stories. And then you say, oh yeah, I forgot about this, and then you started taking notes, and then you write a couple of songs about it.
Definitely.
So that was.
Well, I was saying that like that would be what one thing that was unique about the whole pandemic and stuff, that it was going to force people, like none of us, nobody in a band, whether you're in a band as old as the Rolling Stones or you're in a band as like recent as like you guys or Dirty Honey or whatever, nobody experienced anything like this before. So I felt like we were going to see sides of artists that we never thought we would see before.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of bands went totally different ways, So a couple of bands like released like a triple 4 CD box, whatever, with 1 million songs, and all one CD about COVID, one about this, one about that. Others just toured constantly. In Germany, we did a lot of. There were a lot of autokino, remember that? What's the term in English? I don't know. Like the movies where you drive-in movie theater.
Oh, drive-in movie theaters. Yeah. Oh, those drive-in concerts. Yeah.
How you call it?
I just called them drive-in concerts.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So that's in Germany where there were shows there. So you could drive in with your car, and the band was playing, and you could see the show like from the inside of your car. But we didn't do that.
I wanted to see a wall of death with those cars. I was hoping that they would do it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of experiments, and a lot of bands did this, but we didn't participate in any of that. We tried one thing and it didn't work, and then we said, like, it's not for us. We're a rock and roll band. We need the sweat, we need the beer, we need the hugging, the pushing, the jumping, the dancing. So we didn't do any of that. But a lot of bands like tried different things. They did streaming shows and all these. Everybody tried to kind of navigate through this thing.
Yeah.
And we just wrote that record, and I did a little radio show on a German radio station where I did those kind of mashups. Like it's a game. And I would, you would hear the music of Smoke on the Water, for example, and I would sing the lyrics of Born to Be Wild over them.
I love it when they do that. I love it when they do that. I love it when they do that. Like they once meshed a Slipknot song with Justin Bieber, which was incredible. They mixed a Lamb of God song with Kesha. They mixed Rage Against the Machine with Vanessa Carlton. It's always incredible when they're able to do that.
That's cool when it works. And but that was pretty much all of like COVID specials we did, So everybody had their own way, their own philosophy to navigate through this, and this was ours.
Definitely. And talking about like brighter times in the world, because the New Roses has been around for a good time, and next year is going to be the 10-year anniversary of the debut album Without a Trace. Is there any plans on celebrating that now that touring is picking up again?
You have to. That's the main challenge of this modern time of traveling and being on the road and playing shows. The main challenge is to stay mobile, to stay agile,
Yeah.
Is that the right word? Yeah. So you have to change your complete touring system and the size of the venues and the way you promote it, and everything has to be changed very quickly when the situation changes, you know. And this time is very crazy because we play our first tour show one day before the album is released. Yeah, usually you release it like 2 3 months early, but it doesn't work anymore in these under these circumstances, because you don't know if when you release the record in June, you don't know if you actually can be able to play in October. So you release and play at the same time. So you're sure that you have a tour to the album, and there are many factors that has to be really mobile and agile, and you have to move them around very quickly. So this is the main challenge for the whole thing, you know. And we just try to take it from or to pick it up from where we are, you know. So there are no real chances to plan a whole like 10-year anniversary tour or something, because you would never know from now if you can actually play them, to play that tour. So yeah.
Turning back the clock, though, how would you say the songwriting has evolved from Without a Trace to Dead Man's Voice to One More for the Road to Nothing But Wild to now? Like, has the songwriting, because being that obviously Sweet Poison was written under completely different circumstances, does that make the previous four albums where they kind of like had a similar vibe or a similar strategy or a similar emotional element going into the songwriting for that?
It's hard to say because for yourself, it always feels natural. So we know we only take songs on the record that feel natural or feel fitting to the band, feel easy to play. If we're in the rehearsal room and it takes more than half an hour to get the structure of the song right, the groove, the vibe right, we don't play it, you know, because that's not our style. We're like an feeling band, you know, where we don't want to show off, we don't want to construct things. So everything we play feels natural for us. But I'm 100% sure that my songwriting has changed over the years, because I hope so, you know, that you grow and that you look back on your record and say like, next time I want to try this better and try to make these things better. And of course it does something to you when you have your first radio song, you know. In our case, that was Thirsty, that was on the Dead Man's Voice record, the second record. And of course it does something with you, you know, and you feel motivated, you feel confirmed, you know. But on the other side, you feel the pressure to do it again. And then first I tried to write like Thirsty Part 2 kind of thing, you know, and let's say Hungry.
That happens though. That happens, and a lot of artists like to get flack for that. Like, you know, Disturbed, which is one of my favorite bands. You know, they put out the Sound of Silence cover. It took off, and then, you know, you see on the album that they made after that, like, you know, it was half, you know, for lack of better words, that's sort of like butt rock sound in a way. And like, you know, like, you can't fault a band for doing that. Like they made something
very tempting.
Yeah, you know, they made something that works. Why not do that?
Yeah.
Like, why not continue doing that? Like, you know, for a painter, when they discover their style and their cutting edge visual, they make a whole series out of that. So I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, having a single that resonates with people, and then, you know, you're not trying to replicate it, but you're maybe trying to continue something in a similar vein and connect it with a lot of people. You want to connect with those same people again.
That's true. That's true. The only like the danger is only that you start like copying yourself. That's what you said, and that's totally right. And so I tried a couple of things, and then I let go of the idea to get that same attention for a song with the same ingredients.
Yep.
So on the next record, we had totally different singles. They had a really strong country vibe. that was One More for the Road and Every Wild Heart and Life Ain't Easy for a Boy with Long Hair. That was like totally country influenced. So it was the opposite of Thirsty that had a straight hard rock vibe to it. And on the Nothing But Wild record, we did something else again. You know, we tried with Down by the River. We tried to come up with the real like a stadium rock anthem song kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that might be like our and on this record as well. We come up with totally different singles, you know. Um, and the singles of this record by themselves are very very different to each other.
Yeah.
They're not released, but they're going to be very different to each other.
Which I think is
So
it's very impressive though. I from I listened to the catalog yesterday when the interview confirmed. You could
yeah,
tell like what song would be off from Without a Trace to now. Like I think you guys take a new approach to everything, and that keeps people interested. Like it's cool when a
that's
band
what we
has
try.
it's like ACDC. It works for them to kind of
Yeah,
continue putting out the same rock and roll. But I think part of what makes the New Roses interesting is that you
yes,
you aren't a rock and roll cliche. You could totally shock people. You should shock people even more and make the next album death metal and see how or they
yeah. Yes, yes. But the different interests in music, the different tastes are very, 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 very diverse in the inside of the band. So we have we from punk rock over hard rock over metal, and I come from I never listened to hard rock before I got in this band. You know, I have no Guns N' Roses record. I have no Bon Jovi records, nothing. You know, I only listened to Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis, Little Richard, and then I started listening to Bruce Springsteen and Bob Dylan and all these music and soul music and stuff. And of course, I enjoyed ACDC, Led Zeppelin. I'm the only guy in the band that likes Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple and all these 70s more virtuous bands, you know. And the other guys like more are Kiss and Poison and Def Leppard and all these bands. And so we always fight, you know, to get the right vibe for a song. Because if you listen closely, you will always find all those ingredients in the songs that we write. You know, we have, and that's kind of what makes the New Roses, I would say, because you always have we never have that typical hard rock lyrics, you know, even though you hear a typical hard rock song, and um, and you always have that certain amount of energy and hard rock potential, even if when we play our ballads or more intimate songs, and we all blend it together and until everybody feels comfortable already or still, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And then we know we have a New Roses song.
And I have two more questions regarding to the songwriting
No
process,
problem.
actually. But when it comes to the lyricism, there's always lyrics that have to be involved. And being that you clearly, because it's not even just like the different styles of rock that you bring into the New Roses, but I think you address different lyrical subject matters. And like I could tell that there's maybe some internal sources of inspiration, maybe external sources of inspiration. Has there ever been a time where maybe not the fully written lyrics, but maybe like a lyrical idea or maybe a context in mind maybe could help dictate the direction of the music itself?
Tough to say, man. It's my main thing that I've learned is when you try to force anything, when you try to structure songwriting, never works. Never worked for me. So when the guys, for example, when the guys say, "Hey, buddy, write a song about whatever," you know, a girl in the bathtub or whatever. You know? So you can maybe you know get it to a certain point, but it won't kick you. You know, so at least when I write songs, so I have to. Um, I don't know how to describe that. It's like you're stumbling upon it. You know, So you're riffing around, or usually I'm a lot outdoors, and I do mountain climbing and ultra running and all these things, and that's where I usually come up with my song ideas.
That's
You
awesome.
know, I'm in the middle of the mountains, and then for example, there's a song on the record called "First Time for Everything," um, and it's one of people's favorite songs so far on the record. And I remember very the exact moment that I was in the mountains, and I was climbing up that difficult passage, and and there just so it was like a challenge, you know. It was like something I did before, but not to the degree of difficulty, you know. And so I thought I was hanging there in the mountains, and I was like, you haven't done that before, you know, shit, maybe it's too challenging. And then I just sang that line, just sang it, you know. There's a first time, and that's first time for everything, and there it was, you know. So
That's
you
awesome.
climb up that passage, and I took out my phone, and I always have this like the memo, the memo function, and then
Yeah.
you go and humble and mumble the whole the little, you know, fraction of that song, and then you come home and make a song out of it. And this is how usually I write all the songs. Not all of them are made in the mountains, but you know, I riff around, or I'm in the car, I'm, you know, and then something hits you, a melody, a riff, a groove, something to start with,
Yeah.
and you think like, this is something that interests me, you know, and then you pick it up from there.
Get your
Did that
ass
answer the question?
100% and get your ass on a plane and go skydiving because I want to see what lyrics you'll come up with from that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have a lot of friends that I have a lot of friends that are in the U.S. military, and they said it's amazing. And my coach that trained me for the ultra running, he's like, he has a skydiving license, so I think you have to do 1,000 jumps
Yeah.
before you can have that teacher license.
Wow.
So he has one of those, and he said like, I'll take you out someday, and I'm definitely, dude, because it's something yeah, I think you can't uh, picture yourself doing it until you do it. Have you done it?
I've never done skydiving before, but I could just picture you just plunging in down to earth out of the sky. You're
Taking
like,
my phone out.
yeah, yeah. You take your phone out and you're like recording the melody. Just don't forget to pull the parachute, please.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for the. Yeah, it's a good advice.
It always it's almost scary, like like when Bruce Dickinson was flying that plane, I was real, everybody was excited, but I was like, I hope he doesn't think of like any cool music ideas as he's like about to land it on the tarmac or something like
Yeah,
that. So um
especially their topics. Yeah, dangerous for pilots.
definitely, definitely. And the final question I wanted to ask you is because we talked about the different sounds of the New Roses, the different lyrical themes, but
Yeah,
and you mentioned it before. You do have songs that are down and dirty and hard hitting, and you also do have very sensitive, but also very powerful ballads. Is there anything? And it was funny. I was talking with Buck Cherry about this a while ago, and they said that like
I
sometimes
love them.
oh, they're amazing. And they said that sometimes playing a slower song is more difficult than playing a fast song in a way. But is there at all maybe a similar energy between singing a more aggressive song or a faster song versus a ballad, or do you almost feel like it's almost two separate hats that you have to wear?
Yeah, it's a different sport, totally. So um, to create, I hope I get this word right.
Hmm.
Intimacy,
Yep.
intimacy.
Yep.
Um, to create that is super challenging. It's a very fragile art art form, and to create like mm, ecstasy is just as hard, but totally different. You do totally different, two totally different. Um, how do you say, like it's like you're like a sorcerer, and you have to to say two different spells to create those magic tricks, you know. um, and to create intimacy is something very, very challenging, especially when you have grown ass man in front of you, you know, like biker dudes and Harley owners and you know, tattooed guys. It's like, I don't know, but it's the majority of our fans are like over 40, and they're grown ass men, you know. And to get them to that point where you sing about your broken heart, and they don't get bored or like feel amused, so they open up and let that happen and enjoy that. That is a very difficult thing to do, and the only way we discovered that we can actually do it is 100% honesty. So if a ballad is just like only 89, 99% honest, we can't play it. You know, it has to be really on the spot for us. Otherwise, we don't create that energy.
100%.
And we started doing that, and that's the specialty of our shows. That in the middle of the set, I would take the acoustic guitar and sing one song just on my own, and I already sang like the weirdest songs you would never picture on a hard rock concert. You know, I covered "The Man in the Mirror" from Michael Jackson, and all these things. You know, and songs from Aretha Franklin, and so you have to get them to that right spot, and I think you have to show the audience that you really care about those songs, that they mean something to you. And if you have the sympathy of the audience and you already earned that sympathy, you know, then they want to listen to you when you sing about your broken heart, you know.
Definitely.
Then they let it happen. But you have to get them to that point. You have to prove yourself. You have to earn the respect and the sympathy from the audience, and then you can do that. That's our experience.
One thing I've always said about rock and roll is it's okay to sing about your broken heart, but you have to heal the hearts in front of you before you could express yours. So
Exactly. That's very well said.
yeah.
Very well said. 100% true.
Thank you. And you definitely do that with your music as well. I could tell you that as well.
Thank you, sir.
I think your music is
Appreciate
it's
it.
good for the heart, it's good for the soul, and it's cathartic, and it's also confrontational. I think it has every aspect that rock and roll absolutely needs on an emotional and technical level.
Oh, that's very nice to hear, man. Thanks. Very
Anytime.
kind.
So before we go, I want to thank you for your time and for such a great
That
conversation.
was
Is there
big
just
pleasure.
is there just anything else that you would like to promote for the release of Sweet Poison with the New Roses? Is there a chance maybe you could bring the New Roses to the States? We would love to have you here.
Yeah, we're working on that. It's very difficult because it's very far away.
Yeah.
It's a lot of paperwork,
Yeah,
and it's super, and it's so big. Your country is so big.
I know.
It's incredibly big. You have to realize, like I just read that Texas is 8 times bigger than Germany.
Yep.
So, you know, and it's like maybe a tenth of the people that live in Germany.
Yep.
So it's really it's to get all the logistics done, and you know, get the gear and the backline and the crew and everything done, and it's very challenging. But with the help of people just like you know, that spread the word and make us get known over there, and that helps a lot. And we've been on the Kiss cruise 2 times, so we played in the States, but not really in the States. So
You played near the States.
next to the States.
Yeah.
So, but I have a lot of friends in America, and I usually spend Christmas and New Year's always in America. I always do that, and I just love it, and I love the music. I love the musical spirit. It's where it comes from, you know. I always realize that again every time I'm in your beautiful country. I realize that rock and roll is like so rooted in your culture. It's a cultural thing, you know.
We're crazy over here, of course. We're
yeah,
crazy.
it's great, and but in Germany it's not. Rock and roll is something special in Germany. It's not like it's like in everybody's DNA.
Yeah.
When you go to Walmart in America, and you have John Mellencamp on in the background, singing Jack and Diane or
Well,
something.
I have family in Germany, and I've been to Germany
Yeah.
many times in Straubing, like in southern Bavaria, and
Mhm.
I
Cool.
remember listening to the radio with my aunt who lives there, listening to daytime radio, and I'm not even kidding. I remember taking this. This was like the playlist: Barry White, Children of Bodom, Taylor Swift, Guns N' Roses, At the Gates. So
Yeah.
it's pretty diverse there too.
Yeah. Was it at one radio station?
Yeah, it was.
That's a great.
I don't know if
But
it,
that's pretty special for us as well. I've
yeah.
never heard a radio station playing that playlist.
Yeah, so
Or something like that. That was crazy.
yep. But so you never know. Germany's pretty awesome too, but in the States, yep,
Yeah,
it's in our
sure.
culture. It's crazy. It's
It's a
crazy
big
here.
place for rock music. But for example, country music is not happening at all.
Yeah.
I've just saw Brad Paisley playing in Mannheim, Germany, recently, like 6 weeks ago or something. And how many people show up when Brad Paisley plays in the States?
He would play a stadium.
Stadium, like
Yeah.
50,000 people.
Yeah,
There were like maybe 3,000 people.
really. But it's
It was
also
amazing.
But it's also
to
the
see.
opposite. But it's also kind of like the opposite in a way here too. Like I know that you did a tour with a band like Saxon, for example. With the last time
Yes.
Saxon, I remember coming to the States, they played at a venue that was maybe 200 people cap, and that didn't even sell out. But when they play in Europe, they're playing they're playing in front of thousands of people. So it
Yeah.
really is like a
Yeah.
demographic thing altogether.
Yeah. We have a lot of, and I hear this all the time. The bands from the States. I think Slayer, for example. I think Slayer is an American band,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So they are way bigger in Europe than they are in the States, I guess.
Yeah, I mean they're
Because
they're
metal.
yeah, their farewell tour packed a lot of houses, but yeah, like they would play like, decent sized venues here, maybe like 15 to 5,000 people, but yeah, like they'll play a fucking football stadium in Europe. So,
Yeah. So, and that's the opposite. But I like I said, I love the American spirit of music, and there's no place like when you walk through Nashville or Memphis, and you get that spirit, and you think you're in heaven. You think, as a musician that loves rock and roll, and especially me, that I grew up on 50s and 60s rock and roll and blues music. And when I'm in Nashville or in Memphis, it's like you're in paradise.
yeah,
That's
definitely.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind coming over and playing a couple of shows. So yeah, we're working on that.
Yeah, and you know what? Screw the visas. I think the most rock and roll thing you could do is sneak into the country. Like bring your gear, bring your gear, like sneak in someone's suitcase. That'd be the best
Yeah.
story ever. Like rock and roll band arrested for trespassing to do their tour. I mean, that's dedication
Yeah.
right there. So
We just pretend that it's all like one big like coincidence. Oh, there's a guitar. Let's just pick it up. I'm here for holidays, and
yeah.
oh, there's a venue. Maybe we can go in there and play.
Oh no, that's where
So,
my
yeah.
cousin lives.
Yeah, and we don't make any money, of course not. We just get gifts.
Yeah,
A lot of gifts.
there you
A lot
go.
of perfumes and bottles of cognac and stuff.
Yeah, right. Well, what? And then they'll be like, "What kind of a case? What kind of gift is a case of PBR?" Like.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah, especially
yeah.
and especially coming from Germany, I think it's fair to say that all beer outside of Germany sucks. So
Yeah, that's true. But as soon as I'm in America, I love American beer. And I always make the mistake and I bring it home because I love it so much. And when I'm in Germany and I open a Miller or something, it tastes like piss.
yeah, well,
So only it's totally connected to the spirit. Like I said, when you're in Vegas and you're in the casino and you get a Miller Lite and you drink it and you think like, wow, this is, you know,
to quote my lovely family from Germany when they were describing Budweiser, it's pierogi water mixed with yeast infection. So, but
exactly, but only in Germany.
Yep.
So when you drink Budweiser in America, it's okay, it's fine. I like it, you
Okay.
know. But it was amazing. My friend um, that I spend Christmas at with every year. So his father-in-law, he's maybe about 60 something, and he would invite us over, and we're sitting at this Florida porch, and great night, you know, hear the crickets and everything, and he comes up, he says like, "Son, I want to show you something cultural, like a real American thing. This is our oldest beer. This is Yingling, and it's
Oh.
brewed this is brewed since I don't know 1875 or something."
Yeah.
And I was like, are you kidding me, man? This is in Germany. This is like brand new beer, you know. So we have beer that has like been brewed at the same spot for over 2,000 years, buddy. And you come on with a 100-year-old beer, and it tastes like shit.
That's America for you. Like, I mean, there's
Yeah,
people in
but
Europe. There's people in Europe who think our greatest cultural achievement is TGI Fridays. So,
but I that's why I started this story with a great Florida night and the crickets and all this thing. So but you sit there at this porch, and it's a perfect night, and you have all your friends around yourself, and there's I don't know John Mellencamp on the radio, and you hear the crickets, and you see the lake, and the Florida like humidity and the temperature and everything's so cool, and then you drink a Yingling, and you immediately love it. It's great. And you connect that taste to total like enjoyment and to total peace and happiness. And so that's what I love about those beers, because you never get them anywhere else, you know?
fair.
I never had a Yingling outside of that bubble, you know, where I just enjoy myself.
Yeah.
So that's why I now I look forward to Christmas, and one main thing I look forward to is having Yinglings with my friends. You know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You might get arrested in Germany right now for treason when this goes online, but you know.
Oh yeah, when I hope nobody finds out that I'm actually like saying something positive about American beer.
Right. But I want to thank you so much. This was the best ending to an interview ever. Everybody, we are here with the New Roses coming out on Napalm Records October 21st. Be sure to check out Sweet Poison. We will see you next time.